Have you ever watched a child play the pegging game? The pegging game involves a box with several holes of different shapes: triangle, star, square, and pegs with corresponding shapes. The goal of the game is to fit the proper pegs into the holes. It is a psychological test for children of their form perception and motor control. The child enjoys manipulating the pegs. First, the child picks up the peg, examines it with a few of her senses, turns it around in her hands, bangs it on the floor, maybe puts it in her mouth. Then the child will attempt to put the peg into a hole. Perhaps she selects the wrong hole initially and becomes frustrated. Maybe she tries another hole, turns the peg around, and finally, that satisfaction of it fitting. The process a child goes through is very similar to what we are doing with AI right now. Square pegs, round holes. Welcome to We Are the Machines. I'm Dr. Deetra Sao. This podcast is for those who want to use artificial intelligence. Through anecdotes and phrases, you'll be fluent in AI in front of the executive team and at the dinner party. I explain how machines learn in the context of human learning and arm you with the right questions to be asking the machines or those who are building your business machines. You will sound like an AI rock star by the end of each episode. Let's get started. What is a square peg round hole problem in real life? You hear this terminology all the time at the exec level. Let's talk about a few examples. The accounting team is tasked with sales team performance. Accounting teams are highly efficient with numbers, but there are qualitative aspects of sales that need to be captured as well. Another example is a team of developers building business tools in isolation. This eventually leads to a mismatch in building a solution that doesn't quite fit the problem and the users of the solution. What is really happening is that either the problem was not defined properly, or we strong-armed a solution to satisfy some requirement without considering the consequences. Most recently, everyone in the workplace is being told to use AI. It is now even embedded in individual performance cards at work, which makes it an imperative. How did we get here? We moved from the excitement of adopting the new technology, of deliberately choosing to use large language models to support our work. Now we are at adaptation. The world is changing around us, and we have to use AI to keep up. But when we were forced to adapt to the typewriter, it was very clear the goal of this technology: to automate writing, allowing for faster and more consistent documentation. In this stage of AI, the goal is purported to allow for a process to be faster, efficient, and free up time to do other things. But the appropriate process is not clearly identified outside of more automation of writing. Let me give you an example. I recently met a woman who works in a queue where she's addressing IT tickets, bug fixes, for example, and working on development projects. Her company has outsourced the task of code writing to a large language model. Her job is to review the code and then pass it to the next stage in the development process. She complained to me about the lack of quality and organization of the code written by the LLM, and that it was not that easy of a task to debug it because of the structure and design of the code, and that she might as well have coded it herself. So, instead of decreasing work, it is causing more work for us to adapt to it. This is a square peg round hole problem because the solution does not fit the problem. In this space, AI could be better used in the triage process of IT ticketing. It can read the topic of the request and assign it to the correct specialist. It can streamline the technical specification writing process by recording a conversation between business analysts and the technical team, and then convert it to a project document. You can see in these latter applications of AI, we are getting closer. Continuing with our analogy, instead of square pegs, we have cylinders being placed in circular holes. We've got the measurements correct. We know that we need a radius and pi. The peg still doesn't quite fit in the hole, but at least the parameters are close. And that is when we get a scaling problem. Later this week, look for my video on the challenges with scaling AI. Now let's look at our developer's problem from the view of the business. The belief is that if we continue to use the LLMs to write our code, then we will train it to get better. The more diverse the tasks I give to my junior analyst, the better she improves. So, just as we are training humans, we are also being asked to train the machines to do our work. And this setup is amazing. The LLMs need for us to train it, and it preys upon the fact that we have some expectation of the answer. So we tell it it's wrong, and it agrees it is wrong, and it corrects itself. It forgets what we asked 10 prompts ago, and we get frustrated. Some employees complain of AI fatigue. After spending an afternoon trying to get the LLM to do the task that will improve efficiency, users give up, stating that they are just tired of arguing with the machine. In this way, we are struggling to adapt to AI to meet an economic imperative, not the other way around. And the costs are new too. We've just taken jobs done by humans and then given them to the machines at the same financial cost. But what of the environmental cost? This risk is being treated like a consequence of the business environment, like how I have to heat my home in the winter. And of course, the human cost. By using these machines, we already see how low the comprehension of our students are compared to 20 years ago. When they are learning by looking it up, they are not learning how to be resourceful or how to piece together disparate sources of information to reach a conclusion. And once we lose our ability to cognate and then lose the ability to ideate, what are we? By the way, if LLMs are being foisted upon you in the workplace via performance evaluations, I suggest that you ask your LLM every morning for a news report or to find your daily lunch spot so you can put a checkbox on this exercise. This could be the new metric frontier for layoffs, metrics that are being assembled and justified by none other than the very machine that created the problem. And now, a moment for the human. We are with certainty in the frustration point of the pegboard. Let's think about your life. Where are you applying AI or digital methods that would be better benefited by an analog solution? Maybe your mom is ill and you think of sending a text. Would she feel better hearing your voice and the concern in it? And at work, would you save time and some stress capital by having a direct conversation instead of an email trail mostly written by an LLM that is obfuscating the point? The corporations might ask you to abdicate the ability to think, but that doesn't mean you have to abdicate your responsibility for how you live. Thank you for listening to We Are the Machines. I'm Dr. Deetra Sao.